You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are only things that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the family that loves you and doesn't judge you. Pumping out 10 to 15 new shows a week so that you just have so much stuff to binge, eat up, and all that good stuff. And thank you for, you guys eat up 96% of the show. And I think the last 4% is when I'm rounding out the show and you guys cheat and you skip to the next one. What if I say something really interesting at the ending? I never do. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. And hey guys, we have an amazing young man on the show today. We're going to be talking about his insights. But in the meantime, guilt, shame, don't kidnap anybody, but maybe hold some people hostage. Don't do that. Just refer people to go to the show. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss1 on the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today, we will be featuring a wonderful gentleman, Mark Haddad, on the show. His book came out January 28th, 2025. That's 2 days after my birthday. Of course, I wasn't born in 2025. I'd like to think I was. That'd be nice. But then I'd probably just be making goo goo gaga sounds on the mic, which is probably not unlike the 16 prior years. His book is entitled, how many segues can you do there, Chris? His book is entitled, A Soul Spoke to Me, A Soul's Guide to Navigate Purpose. We're going to get into it with him, his insights, how you can maybe improve your soul. Those of you who have some left, I sold mine for this show. Mark is the author of A Soul Spoke to Me. He's a former military army veteran. We were joking about the show. I couldn't pronunciate earlier. He's a private military contractor for the Department of Defense, the Department of State, and currently an expert in AI and quantum computing, whose mission isn't just to help you negotiate deals, but to help you negotiate your inner world. He's lived trauma, faced isolation, and now guides people to reclaim their essence when everything shakes itself to their core. He's survived trauma and isolation. Oh, he's been married. Anyway, welcome to the show. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate that intro. That's like, I don't even know how to respond. I usually have like a line of responses, and it's kind of like, nope, can't say that. Definitely can't say that. I'm going to get fired if I say that. So that happens in an instant, but you got me here.
Yeah. Well, that's why I throw myself in front of the bus so you don't have to. So they all write to me anyway. So Mark, give us .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so I have a website, markhaddadauthor.com, but I'm most active on my Instagram spot, Mark Haddad Author 1, and so you can find me there, interact with me there, and I'm very interactable, right? So we do exchange and help people, so feel free to chime in. So I do appreciate that intro.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview. What's in your new book?
Yeah, so most people are stuck. Right. And a lot of them know they're stuck. A lot of them have different symptoms of being stuck, but usually they're stuck in negotiations that they don't even realize it. And the toughest ones are happening inside them. So we're taught to master the mind. We're pushed to strengthen the body. But when both of those things hit the limit, it's really the soul that steps in. Mm-hmm. So we see it in combat. I follow in combat. You feel it in sports. I played semi-pro, definitely not pro. But when you're running on fumes and you still have to push forward, that's not strategy. That's the soul leading the charge, right? But here's the issue. We're never really taught how to understand the soul and what it means. We have this ethereal mindset around it, or religious or spiritual, or whatever it may be. But we're given mental health tips, physical training routines, but not so much about why we're even here. And that's why I wrote The Soul Spoke to Me, to help people make sense of that silent part inside. The part of the body, the part that already knows the way, if we just listen. Because here's the thing, the soul doesn't shout, or else we'd all have these epiphanies all the time, right? It broadcasts like a radio frequency. It's always there. Most people don't even know it's out there, but we recognize it in different ways, like friction in decisions or easy decisions, things like that. And even when they do, they don't know how to tune it in. So that's where I come in. I help people find that dial, cut through the noise, and try to lock in that clear signal that they've never heard of, right? And that's the voice of their soul. Like, what are they hearing? And so the book is really a story of a number of different instances that we all live through our lives, whether it's sports or divorce, or I don't feel like I'm, interested in my job anymore, things like that's really different things that are going on inside them. So I want to, I want to help with that connection. And so everything changes. You stop chasing the wrong things. You stop getting stuck in mental loops. And then you start living from purpose and not pressure. So that matters in every arena, like veterans trying to find peace after combat, entrepreneurs and leaders scaling without losing themselves, and then even elite athletes, right? Those who have mastered the body but know there's something deeper. So they don't need more tactics; they need alignment. So, and like you said, sometimes it's not taking like the red pill, right? It's about realizing you already did. Like, Chris, I'm curious, based on all the high performers, right, and change makers that you've interviewed, do you feel like more people are starting to recognize that soul level clarity might be the missing piece?
I think people, they're noticing what you talk about, the internal battle, the internal struggle within. I think for a long time we chased external things. I think COVID kind of woke people up to that a little bit. I know it did for me. I was chasing money in cars, and I still chase money in cars and wild women in Las Vegas, because I live in Las Vegas. But
what else was there to do?
Is there anything else? Anyway, and so I did that, and then when COVID came, I'm a single guy. I don't have kids. I couldn't afford kids. I couldn't afford divorces. I've saved up a few million for my first divorce, but I don't think I have enough yet. And once I do that, I'll get married. But marriage jokes. But so my family is like my mother and my sister, and that's it. And they're both not doing well health-wise. And so, I kind of realized that, all those things that I was chasing didn't mean much, and then a lot of my friends during COVID too, like, you didn't know who was going to get taken out at the very first. It was running rampant. They were filling refrigerator trucks with bodies. And so it just, I had an epiphany. I think a lot of people did about that time, that, our personal relationships and the people in our lives are more important than all this bullshit we're always chasing. And, who cares about the latest car if, your loved one is gone tomorrow, and especially if you don't get to say goodbye. And so, I think there's a lot of books now that have come out since COVID that are more about that internal conversation and speaking to what's going on inside me.
Yeah, you said a lot of really good things there. I think it's almost like you read the last chapter of the book. So I'll give you a little bit of context around that. It was really hard to kind of put this together, because there's a lot of stories of how we live our lives that, really allude to the fact that there is a soul purpose, not one, but the soul's purpose, and then there's a human purpose. And take any religious track or spirituality, when we believe the soul goes on somewhere else, it doesn't matter. You can believe whatever system you want afterwards, but we tend to think that this isn't everything, right? The soul comes into the body. We have this experience, right? In the book, I go through what those experiences are to prove the point that we even talk about. Take, for instance, sports. Right. I coach a little Pop Warner League football right now. I coach semi-pro. I played. And, there are a lot of sayings that we have in sports that talk about that is beyond the body and beyond the mind. And there's a reason why this is important, right? So you have a really bad first half. You're in halftime. It isn't you need to push harder. It's you need to dig deep. Dig deep in what? You need to play with all heart. How do you do that? You got to leave it all on the field. Who wants it more? All these sayings that we have from these coaches that are just screaming these sayings in your face. You're kind of like, yeah, I need to play with all heart. It's like, what the hell does that mean? I'll push it, And, the people that win the game, what do they say? They wanted it more. It's like, they wanted what more? I wanted it too. What are you talking about? Right. So you gotta learn that there's three parts to your existence. I call the BMS, the body, mind, soul. And there's a connection between the three. I know it's kind of obvious, but the reason why this is portrayed the way that I'm putting it in the book is that there is actually an efficiency, a function of the three together, right? Your body, scientifically, is a sensory receiver. It is a radio receiver, right? If you look at a campfire, you see the flames. That's a certain frequency of energy for our optical receptor. You hear it, you feel it with your hands, the heat, etc. And as the flame goes up, it changes colors from blue to yellow to red to nothing. And then you think the fire is gone, but it's not. It's just changed form. You can feel the heat, right? It's just a different sensory organ in your body that's picking it up, right? So energy is all around us. It's not this California hippie, everything's energy, man.
Energy, man. Smoke a doobie. It's all good.
But the thing is, you don't know how true that is scientifically, right? And so when you get into quantum mechanics, and I had to take some advanced courses in quantum theory because of the whole quantum computing part of what I do. And man, I tell you what, it blows your mind around what is reality. And simply put, the body just senses things and it reacts. It reacts with chemistry, which we call emotion. And that emotion is translated by the mind. And the soul is kind of like Julius Caesar. You remember, like at the Gladiators, they'd either say, I like it or I don't, or, it's this thing. It's this motion of I like this or I don't like this. And that's really what the soul's striving for. It's certain experiences that elicit emotions. Think about it. Why do we only remember things really well when there's an emotion tied to it? More importantly, we tend to really remember things that are negatively impacting us more so than positively. So if you have more things at the same emotional level, the negative you remember more often. You have to have something that's really good to remember that over your life, right? But bad ones you remember really well. The part that the reason why we talk about the connection is that BMS, the efficiency across the three, is really the cards that you were given to when we became human. Like some of us are very efficient. You don't need very much to be happy. While us morons have to keep pushing hard, getting the degrees, hustling, driving, making money, and we're just like, oh, we need more. And so I break down these categories of where we fit in. It's not one's better than the other. Because I tell you what, you think one's better than the other, but at the end you realize that it's actually the reverse. So imagine when you were in high school and you're graduating. Did you ever judge people based on what they were going to go do after graduation?
I still do that now. I see people that I went to high school with, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
And we judged intelligence. We judged. Your parents didn't want you to, be with someone that, wasn't as ambitious as you were going to be, right?
Yeah.
So they're
still waiting for me to succeed.
I know, right? Me too. I mean, I went in the military because I thought I dishonored my family.
I still disappoint them.
That's the drive we all need, my friend.
To disappoint your parents.
It is, man.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We thought that the people that weren't going after the big degrees and going to do big things, we thought they were the less ambitious. Maybe they couldn't do this. And when you think about it now, they don't care about all the same things like I care about, right? Mm-hmm. They don't care about millions of dollars and the new car and the promotion and school. They don't care about that. They care about going to work, coming back, having a beer, having dinner, watching the game, and they're happy.
Yeah.
Right? So how come they're happier? I mean, of course, we all have problems, right? Whatever it is, we always have problems. But how come they're happier than the rest of the groups? It's because they're efficient. They have the most efficient body, receivers and chemistry, the mind that translates that, and the soul that accepts it. It's the most efficient. They don't need to do very much to feel the happiness that we all strive for throughout life. And then the older you get, like when you get closer to the end, how many times you heard this, family that are talking about life, they're like, that stuff doesn't matter. It's the family that matters. And they think of the memories. They think of the family. They never think of anything else. They don't talk about their cars and their houses. They think about the time with their kids. And so we learn that really, the emotion is really the most important element.
So tell us about your life. You went through some journeys and different trials and tribulations, I'm sure. When was the time you first kind of had this epiphany in that life where your soul spoke to you and you identified that? First identified that?
The first time this happened, I was in Africa. I was a military contractor for a contracting company that worked for the Department of State, and that's like a whole bunch of agencies in the DOS, right? And so we're in Africa, in a landlocked country, Burundi, trying to train the good guys to go to Somalia and fight against Al-Shabaab. Meanwhile, squelching the uprisings of the upcoming elections. And this was more than 10 years ago. And so something bad there happened in the Congo. And we had to go up there to see how things were. Obviously, it was too late when we got up there. And at that point, I lost it a little bit. I was, I wanted to go after the bad guys, but we weren't equipped to do that. We didn't even know how big they were, right? But it left with young children that were, that died. And so when I got back, I was wondering, what am I doing? I've been doing the contracting thing on and off for about 4 years, 3.5 years. And I was thinking, what am I doing here? Every time you take out someone bad, just two come back up. Yeah. And, you leave that night, who knows what's going to happen the next day? You're not there. And, so coming out of the military in certain units, you have this like little guy, a version of you on your shoulders talking about, why are you doing these things? That's not big enough, right? That's not worldly enough. That's not, whatever you have an issue with. And that's sort of the sabotage that happens throughout your life post military, is that nothing's good enough and you keep driving. And it's real because you end up sabotaging yourself plenty of times, around just everyday things that should bring you joy, but you just don't get it because you don't do it because it's not good enough. There's that circle. But when I was out there, I was thinking about, what am I responsible for? And I was like, oh my gosh, my two kids. I had a 1-year-old and then a 5-year-old back home. And I was thinking about it. I was like, they don't know what I'm doing. They don't care. They just care that they're just asking, Dad's not here. Why isn't Dad here?
Where's Dad?
And that's all they know about. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. So at that point, I said, my job is to curate their experience on Earth, right? Teach them the right things, bring them up, put them in the best position of whatever it may be. And that's really what I'm supposed to do. So I did one more contract, and then after that, I just came home, and that was it. So and was there? It just started.
Where was the moment of clarity that happened for you with the title of the book that you were like, okay, this is this is the soul talking to me? And how do you define soul? We should probably lay some foundations on some of this.
Yeah, that's awesome. I kind of talk about that there in the first chapter too, because there's a lot of ambiguity out there, different versions of what it is. I think of So the soul can be any spiritual, any essence that comes in that's running our body and our mind, right? It could. I look at soul and spirit as the same thing.
Okay.
When people talk about consciousness, though, I think from what I've connected with in terms of the souls that have, kind of connected with me, and I get these answers that I'm just kind of like, how the hell is this even real? But consciousness is not a thing. Things don't have consciousness. It is a state of being when a soul is inside a living being, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you think about it, why does a soul even come into a body to begin with? Why do you think?
I have no idea. If I knew that, I'd probably weave her some money. Or be a preacher. I don't know.
You think about it, it's like, most religions have the same thread that the body's a vessel, the soul comes in, the soul leaves, and, whatever you think afterwards, that's the thing that you believe in. But that part of why does it even come in? It's like, what does a soul have that a body has? Mm-hmm. Well, the body, but why? Why is that important? And that's because the body has the chemistry. It has the ability to have an experience. That's why, if you think about, scientifically speaking, the space-time construct, have you ever heard of that? Right?
Uh-huh.
Where you have, space and time, right? Scientifically, they're kind of melted together. It's this like thing that we're operating in. We cannot control either one of them, but we're in it. And that's like kind of dimensionally, purposely created, right? So time it's not just there just by happen chance. Time is here so that we can have an experience, so that there can be mortal life, right? The soul comes into the body to have an experience. The only way you can have an experience is if you have time, right? You can't think about going to see a movie, being excited about the movie. Then you get to the movie, you're watching the movie, you're excited about the movie, and then you leave and you're kind of like, you love it or you hate it, but that's after. So all those instances have to do with time. And you can do that with everything, right? So you cannot be excited about the movie coming unless there's time, because that's the emotion you're kind of getting before the movie. So if you apply that through almost every experience in life, you come to the realization that, wow, that's what the soul's looking for. Imagine if you're watching the same movie over and over and over again, you lose interest. It's not that important, right? Because you don't get the emotions anymore. You don't have the shock. You don't have everything else that the emotion creates, because you know everything. So souls outside of the body operate in a timeless area because they're sort of outside this construct, right? And so when they come into the body, well, now you're in this playing field. You're in the field of play, so to speak, and you're able to have this experience through life, and then you leave. So I believe that the soul outside the body doesn't have the same emotions, which is why I love coming in. That's why we cherish it so much.
So talk to us about some of the offerings that you do on your website. I think you do some coaching or some consulting. Let's get that in here.
Yeah. So the coaching, when we start breaking this thing down, you get to a little bit of a dangerous area. I've experienced it myself. Carl Jung talks about it, where once you sort of know a little bit about what this is all about, sometimes some people lose a little bit of ambition. You lose a little kind of like, why am I doing this? Now that I know what it's about, why does it even matter anymore? And you kind of go through this moment, but that's not really losing ambition. It's realigning, because you then sort of come to the point of saying, oh, well, I'm here to do this thing in this body. And now I've got to understand how to take care of my equipment. You got to take care of your car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to know where the lights are, what the warning signs are, how to change the oil, the gas, blah, 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 blah. Or you take it to a mechanic that helps you do that, right? So you have to take care of your body like an equipment. You got to take care of your mind like equipment, and you got to know that the soul's driving this thing all, right? Now, once you have that line, you start thinking about, okay, what should I be doing? When people are in jobs where they feel drained and they're not passionate about it anymore, there could be a few reasons why that's happening. Doesn't always mean you need to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Sometimes you're just like missing a little bit of chemistry that's being not created by what you're doing now because you lost a little excitement. But how do you cross that gap versus throwing everything away and open up a flower shop somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So right now I help veterans. So shout out to Jesse over at the VA, where I go in and I talk to the vets around the very same thing, right? You got to get an understanding your chemistry and how that plays a part in your actions, right? And the strength that you had before, and sort of like, how do you use that now? So I talk about that and kind of help them through certain things there. But the other groups that I work with are entrepreneurs, so business leaders that are looking really to get to that next level, and they don't know how to catapult themselves over to whatever that is. So there's that. And then high-performing athletes. So any high-performing person, right? But athletes is a particular group that I remember the thing with playing with all heart. It's like, you just got to get used to playing tired, man. You got to get used to playing to the point. It's like, if you don't get to the point where you're saying, my body's given up, I think I just got to quit. If you didn't get to that point, you don't need me. It's when you get to that point, because you haven't really got to the point where you're giving it all up. It's like special forces selection. You're at that point, day 3. You're kind of like, what in the hell is going on? Day 1 at 4:00 in the morning, you're in the pit doing a lot of exercises, and people are just throwing up over themselves, and you hallucinate, and you lose your idea of why you're there unless you have a purpose, right? So
really?
You have to exhaust yourself. You got to get to the point your body's done, your mind is done, and now you're like, all right, how do I get over this thing? And that's where I help them get to that point.
Yeah, I've read it. We've had authors on the show, and then of course I've read a lot of books of guys who've done Hell Week with the Navy SEALs. And boy, you want to talk about something that'll break your body and mind, spirit, and a lot of people quit and ring the bell. But it's probably one of those moments where your soul's got to take over.
It's funny. I had this group of 4 guys that we sort of teamed up, and because you have different weeks, right? You got individual week, then you got team week, and then you got like PT kind of smoky week where you just do a lot. You get to the point where you're doing the psych tests at night just to keep you awake, and you start answering math questions in written format. And then I remember I like almost dozed off, but I looked at my paperwork and it said something bologna sandwich. Like I was dreaming about a bologna sandwich. And
they're pretty good if you're frying. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I grew up on that when I was a kid. That was a staple. Yeah. Fried bologna. Yeah.
So, you have to have the frame of mind that something else is driving you beyond the mind, beyond the body. And once you understand that, now you're almost a puppet of yourself. You're the guy your soul is the guy holding you. And now you understand how to feed you right, how to think right, how to get beyond certain. You're almost watching yourself in a 3D game, and you see the stuff over in front of you, and you know how to navigate around it. And that's why it's called Navigating Your Soul.
Navigating the Soul. That would make a great title for a book too. Maybe your follow-up book that has all the leftover, all the leftover stuff that hit the cutting room floor could be that. You talk about, one of the things you talk about is that internal showdown. I started going to the gym in my 50s. Let's just be honest. And I went to the gym before that, but I go for 2 days, and then I'd be like, I don't know. And then they pay for 3 years of fucking gym membership bills. And, but in my 50s, it got serious. I'm going to see what this going to the gym every damn day crap is all about. And I'm tired of being tired. So, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm not going to take it anymore. Anyway, I started to realize that, and I may have known this from a academic sort of standpoint, sitting back and looking at it, but I started realizing the gym really wasn't about working out your muscles. It was more about discipline. It was about the internal showdown that I had with myself in discipline, in being able to show up. And I started learning different tricks to deal with myself. So, sometimes your body's like, I don't want to go to the gym today. I don't feel good. And I'd be like, you're going to the gym today. And so I would do a thing where I go, okay, we'll go to the gym. We'll sit in the recovery chairs, the zero gravity chairs. We'll loosen up and get the back straight. And then we'll just kind of do whatever. And so I would go in, and sometimes I felt sick, or I just felt under the weather, but I would go in and I would just be like, okay, we're going to go to the gym. And I'd sit there. And so I'd either sit in the massage chairs, go in the sauna, or sometimes I just go and just sit. And then after a while, like just being at the gym, I've created enough of an anchor point where I start kicking into gear. And so I'll be like, okay, I know you feel like shit, and you want to leave now. You're screaming at me in my ear that you want to leave, but we're just going to go one machine and we'll take our time. And like people online will be like, you do 3 hours at the gym, Chris? And I'm like, sometimes, because I'm just taking my time and I'm slowly eating the elephant one bite at a time. And so I've learned that, okay, you do one set of reps. Okay, that wasn't so bad. I feel a little bit better. Do another set of reps, And so sometimes just that discipline, that, like you say, the internal showdown, that battle with yourself. And to me, it's almost been more of a journey about developing my discipline better, developing my internal commitment to myself, my word to myself. It has been more important than the muscles I built there. I don't know if you have any thoughts you want to throw on that.
Totally, man. In the military, we learned that you don't go to the gym when you have energy. You go to the gym when you want to create energy.
It does kick in. Those endorphins eventually kick in for you.
You know what you are? You're a drug dealer to yourself.
Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I was thinking about it while you were talking about it. I was like, be a drug dealer to yourself in a good way, right? And here's what I mean. Right. You ever hear those Instagram videos where you have some like CEO standing up to give a talk? It's like, you do what you're passionate about. I
think we had some on the show.
I'm like, what kind of bullshit is this? Stop fucking with people. Oh my God. Your 5 minutes of fame on Instagram is going to screw people up, right? And, so when I tell my kids and my family, my friends and everything, I'm like, don't listen to that shit. Look. When you go to the gym and you start going there, you hate everything. You don't like any exercise. You don't like looking at yourself in the mirror. You don't, right? So where you get benefit is when you start getting that one exercise where you just like notice that little vein pop out for the first time. Like, ooh.
The hernia vein or the, I got the hernia.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, try not to herniate everyone. But once you start getting that one exercise that you're killing it for some reason, you saw it in the mirror and you got a like shadow and you saw like your muscle pop out or something. Now all of a sudden you got a rush of endorphins, you got a rush of serotonin, you got a rush of adrenaline, your cortisol drops. And a little bit of oxytocin comes out because you start falling in love with the action that's going on, right? And next thing you know, you start doing that exercise more and more often. And that's what you're thinking about. That's what you talk to people about. If you go home and you talk to your kid, you're like, look at this thing, right? And so my point is that you start liking what you do when you're good at it. And nothing happens like that out of nowhere. So these people that talk about, do what you're passionate about, do something well enough, long enough, you're going to be passionate about it because you're really good at it. And, you just got to give it a shot. Passion stuff, like what they're talking about, is called a hobby. Not many people would love to do their hobby as their job because then you got to do it when you don't want to, right? And so there's things that you're really good at that you can do and you get passionate about it. And, next thing you know, it's your career, right? So pick something you're good at that you can do. It's my message to everyone out there, right? Don't go soul searching for something you're passionate about. That might not be the thing, right? Mm-hmm. Though at the gym, I'll say this, be the drug dealer for yourself. Like think in this perspective, right? Pull your soul out of you. You're over here looking at you, right? Mm-hmm. Your soul saying, Chris, all right, you need to go to the gym. I need to give you a little bit of dopamine so you want to go to the gym. All right. Now, in your mind, you already gave yourself a helpful hint. Just go.
Yeah, that was the Red Bull.
Yeah, exactly. So you end up going
20-ounce Red Bull.
You're there, you're hanging out, and you just do the one exercise you're really good at.
Yeah.
Even if it's leg day, I hate leg day now because I suck at it. But if it's leg day, just do whatever one you're good at. Do a couple steps of that. You'll start liking it. You're like, okay, now I get to go. You just gave yourself some drugs.
Yeah.
You gave yourself the right drugs in the right amount. So you just have to understand how to manipulate the body. The mind is sort of a little bit steering it, but it's really your soul steering it. Your mind's going to be the software that connects it all, but it's not going to know. It doesn't know you're playing itself. I know it sounds not that smart because you're like, well, of course I know what I'm doing. I'm making myself go down. Of course I know. It doesn't. It can't tell the difference. Once you give that drug, it doesn't know the difference. It has the feeling, and then the feeling will drive you to do more. And that's true in anything. That's why they say, perfection is the antithesis of progress, because people never get their asses off the ground.
That's really true.
So be a drug dealer.
Yeah. The other drug dealer is, I'm a single guy. So when you go to the gym, there's a lot of beautiful women usually there working out. And boy, that helps, because you're like, hey, I got to do this workout thing so I can maybe get with one of these beautiful women. If I get some muscles on me, they might be impressed. Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. But I get a better shot than I do sitting at home eating Cheetos in a beanbag chair naked like I do on weekends.
Yeah, I mean that, and you get the cheese on yourself, and
you get the Cheeto dust all up in your buns. That's never.
And you know what? It's red dye, whatever, that is no longer legal. So now you're just like a walking illegal person.
Pretty much, probably.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with which diets are illegal anymore in my food, so I don't know. I just rub it on my body and go out in public.
So you probably heard this. You heard that a lot of women now are actually coming out saying they don't want guys that are jacked. Which is now I'm upset because I did all this work and now I just got to sit around and do nothing. No, I mean, they say they don't want guys that are so self.
I think that's for my masculinity podcast, so we should talk about that subject. Just what's behind that, but so find your soul, find and now I guess one thing I do want to clarify is the soul the same as your purpose, or does your soul help you find your purpose, or is purpose even in there?
Purpose. So the soul's purpose, I can help you align with what your soul really wants. We don't know what it is. Usually the people that are coming don't know what it is.
Yeah.
People usually accidentally find it unless they're coming in with direction, with the angle of saying, look, this part really satisfies me. There's a lot of people that do things that satisfy them as a career, as what their purpose is. They found that stuff. They may not exactly know how they did it. They may not know that they're there, but the impact and what they feel shows that they are there, right? It's that there's a lot of other people that kind of get lost in all the social media stuff. Where am I going? Where's my purpose? They confused the human purpose with the soul purpose. There's two. Human purpose is kind of like what you're here for in your lifetime. And that could be anything. Like you might like to go to the roller coaster on the Spiral, and I don't, in Vegas, right? That's just your soul liking it, liking the thrill. Mine might not. It's the same thing. I mean, why wouldn't we both like it? It creates chemistry, but that's because we're all individually different. So the cards you were dealt, the body you were dealt, the chemistry in the body, the mechanisms, how you react to stimuli, all that stuff is different. And then the software is different. Our minds translates things differently. To go to the extreme, right? And one category that I have labeled is that the BMS is broken, is really a group, for instance, where we say that their soul is lost. Take, for instance, the FBI files, where they coined the term serial killer, right? Back in the early 70s, they were going through all that stuff. There's actually a show on it on Netflix, I think.
Yeah, there's a show for everything on Netflix.
So in that show, right, or no, in what they did was that they were going around interviewing the serial killers, asking them, basically why. That's essentially the question, and trying to drill in to create a profile composite. And the one thing that's consistent throughout the entire thing is they felt everything was dull. Now, how they got there was different. Some had massive trauma, repeated trauma, really big trauma, or their chemistry is their body's broke. It's like, some people that are born with deformities, they were born with a chemistry deformity in which prevents them to feel to feel normal, or what we would think is normal, right? Societally. So they have to figure out something to do that makes them feel alive. And unfortunately, killing was the thing. And so if you hear what they talk about, everything was dull until I did this thing, and then I did that thing, and then I did that thing. And the next thing you know, that's the thing that excites them, right? You may get excited for driving a car on a track. They get excited from doing what they do. And the people that come back from combat, the severe PTSD, the guys that, and I know them, that stay in combat zones for DoD contractors, and all they're doing is security and shooting people. Let's be clear. They're not out there because they love waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and driving around in trucks. They love combat.
Yeah, I know a guy who likes combat too. Just business war combat though, not shooting at people. But I like business war.
Yeah, well, I mean, that in their world, that's the only thing that makes them feel like they have purpose, right? And that's because their body and their mind have had this chemistry situation that pushed up the way they translate chemistry, and so they can never fill the gap unless they keep doing what they're doing. And unfortunately, that's where they're at. So I call that the mind bar. It's something like a high jump, right? And so the more we do things, the more it pushes the high jump up until a point where, you either you got to go skydive, and once you get skydive, the bar goes up, and then everything else seems dull. You ever have a friend that did that, and they come back and that's all they talk about?
I think some people do that with they call that the Queen for a Day process. The marriage is the high point, getting married, all the adulation, and the Queen for a Day is what it's referred to. And after that, if someone isn't prepared with having a vision for the long distance of it, and I want to see the glory of raising my children and being a matriarch and things like that, it's kind of a downside. Once the honeymoon is over, that's why they call it the honeymoon phase for presidents and marriage and other things. It's kind of the high, but then you got to show up at 5 a.m. on day one, like you say, and do the work. And everyone loves the party part, but no one loves the work. Everyone loves celebrating the entrepreneur, but it's kind of sad that somehow there's not some way to capsulize the true blood, sweat, and tears and journey they went on. And that's what a lot of people miss. I have so many people that are like, hey, I want to do this. I want to start a podcast. I'm like, okay, well, great. Do you even like doing this? No, it just seemed easy. You just get a mic and you talk into it. Okay, well, that's not how life works. But anything of value.
Well, I was just about to ask you, how long have you been doing this, Matt?
16 years. Yeah. 16
It is not overnight, man.
Oh yeah. And I mean, and the other thing is they're like, hey, how soon can I start making money at this and getting ads and stuff? I'm like, well, you have to build the audience. So you might be talking to yourself for about 3 years and, just grinding shit. They're like, what? I'm like, what did you think? You just start a podcast and like people start throwing money at you? So you have to build the audience. Like no one cares. No one cares if your mom subscribed to the podcast and she listens every week because she pities you and hopes that you'll go back to college. So let's wrap the show. Give people a final pitch out on ordering up your services, getting to know you better, reaching out to you to find out more how they can hire you to help them find their soul, speaking to them, and then for the book itself. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that first, thanks so much for this time. This has been great. Thank you. A lot of people have a lot of challenges, and sometimes they feel at the crossroads. That your relationship may be not where you want it to be, your career maybe not where you want it to be, your
as a career leader, you're getting phased out, you're getting fizzled out, right? You're losing that edge. All these things there's a deeper way of addressing the problems or the situation. Sometimes it's not a problem. Sometimes it's a perspective. I force you to take a look at your life from your soul's desire, not your human desire. Once you learn that and you can tune that in, everything else becomes frictionless. You realize that decisions that are difficult for you to do, it's not a decision that's hard. It's a decision that has friction. And sometimes it's your soul saying, not the right time, or not the right thing, or it's never the right time, right? You have to start understanding how your soul talks to you so that you can live more smoothly. You can understanding why these things are happening. And, so there's a lot of applications around it. I encourage you to check me out on Instagram, Mark.author, or on the website, mark.author.com. Just send me a note. So I kind of do speaking events, looking at my first TEDx, talk about, how to change the way you think for success around leadership. And, we'll go from there. So reach out.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We got your .coms in there, didn't we?
We did.
There we go. So thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, Mark. Thank you. Very insightful. And I'm going to go call Satan and see if I can buy my soul back. I sold it for the show. Anyway, guys.
Discount on this month.
Anyway, folks.
It's the hot days of hell, right? So,
Yeah, it might have been cooked by now. It's probably a good barbecue. It's got burn ends or something I can buy back. And I like burn ends. So order up Mark's books wherever it's found. A Soul Spoke to Me. A Soul's Guide to Navigate Purpose, out January 28th, 2025. Reach out to him for his other services there. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places in it. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. Shut up.